The return of football and Aaron Rodgers and Randall Cobb to Green Bay. So much going on. It's a big party this Saturday. All 32 teams, not just the Packers, who we've talked about a lot, are taking the field. It's the first ever training camp back together Saturday, fueled by Gatorade with a full day of practices and fan fest across the league. It is a can't-miss NFL reunion. Training camp back together Saturday, 2 sleeps away, right here on NFL Network.
Let's go.
And welcome to Good Morning Football, everybody. We are presented by Rocket Mortgage. It is Thursday. We're in New York City. It's cloudy and gross, but sunny skies ahead for Green Bay. Nate Burleson, Sean O'Hara, Kyle Brant. My name is Kay Adams. It's time for the lead block.
Lead block. Storms are brewing.
We'll see. Aaron Rodgers was finally back on the practice field yesterday up in Green Bay after an offseason filled with T-shirts.
What's that coming out of the back of his helmet, Kay?
You tell me.
Mullet? Yeah, pretty much.
He let it out.
The reigning MVP let loose at a lengthy press conference. He was honest. He did not hold back yesterday, spending, honestly, about like a half hour, maybe even more than that, answering questions in depth. So what part of the press conference spoke to you the loudest, Kyle?
But how could we pick just one? We've been waiting for this one a long time. This is like the people who sleep out for 3 months for the Phantom Menace to come out, and then it finally comes out. This is our Phantom Menace. Yep. And I'm going to pick one part right now that, you know, a few weeks ago we were talking about Tom Brady, who kind of compared himself to Jordan and Gretzky. He was very honest, and if you want to call it arrogant, fine. But the part for me with Rodgers was when he used a word that I think is very important in how this whole summer has transpired, and it's the word outlier. It was this.
The organization looks at me and my job as just to play. In my opinion, based on what I've accomplished in this league, the way I care about my teammates, the way I show up in the locker room, the way I lead, the way I conduct myself in the community, it should tie myself to a little bit more input. The rules, you know, are the same for most people, but every now and then there's some outliers, you know, guys who've been in an organization for 17 years and won a few MVPs, where they can be in conversations at a different, higher level. I'm not asking for anything that other great quarterbacks across the last few decades have not gotten. You know, the opportunity to just be in conversation.
Decades. It's candor. It's what we always want. I think the message there is, so I got the long hair and I got the office t-shirt, but here's the facts. I am the best player at the biggest position in the biggest sport in this country. The rules do not apply to me. I am better than you, I am smarter than you, and I'm wiser than you, and I want to flex some of that. And I think I've earned that. And the fact is, we just saw Tom Brady assemble his band of merry men down in Florida, do whatever he wants and bring all his friends, and they won a Super Bowl. I'm not the normal guy. It's a crazy take for most people in most lines of work. Do not try that at home. Do not go up in front of your company and say rules don't apply to me. But he did. And I think his take is, the reason I've been so upset is that I am not just some dumb jock who's going to sit here and hope for a Pro Bowl and shoot my soda commercial and then play with whatever roster you guys cough up to me. It has been a mistake for you not to answer me, to ask me, to look into me. I know more than you. I know more about the players than you. I am smarter than you. And moving forward, you better start or this thing's going to end terribly. And I will just end in saying, it might end terribly. They didn't solve anything with this. Jordan Love is still on the team, Brian Gutekunst is still the general manager, and Rodgers still has an uncertain future. So that outlier factor, if he's going to start playing that card hard, we're going to do it all year, and we're going to do it again next year.
You know, it's like anytime somebody goes through a divorce and you say, like, what happened? You know, like, and they're like, man, you know, I don't know. Like, I just woke up one day and, like, things were working. I was like, no, this has been going on a long time. Like, you guys have been taking each other for granted or something. Like, you get that feeling. And to your point with Aaron Rodgers, it's like, why wouldn't you use all of his resources? He's not just a guy that throws passes. He's not just, hey, that's all I do. And he had a lot to offer. I loved what he said there. I really loved what he said about all the players that left the organization. He stuck up for a lot of guys that he thought were mistreated on the way out. But like everybody's looking at this like is this the last dance? Is this the last season for Aaron Rodgers and for Davante Adams? And I thought something that jumped out at me in this was when he talked about getting back to training and when he talked about the fire that burns within him. Here he is.
It took time working on myself and trying to better myself in a number of areas where I feel like I could improve based on my own patterns and conditioning. And it was a lot of growth in that process. I continued to find joy and happiness in things off the field. However, there's still a big competitive hole in my body that I need to fill. And as I got back into my workouts, I just realized that I know I can still play, and I want to still play. And as long as I feel like I can give 100% to the team, then I should still play.
Okay.
Listen, Green Bay Packers fans,
I love
hey, Kyle, Nate, we've all been worried about, like, is this the last year?
Yeah.
I listened to that, and I heard a guy that, man, he still loves to train. Yeah, he took a little time to himself, went and did some other things. But when he got back to training, it was like, man, this is what I love to do. I've still got that competitive fire. I want to keep rolling. That didn't sound like a guy who's like, you know what, this is it, my last song, my last hurrah. I've got a lot more left in me. And when you look at the way he played last year, absolutely. Like, there is no fall off right now for AR.
Yeah, KB, you know, something that stands out in your clip is him saying, you know, I just want what guys, he didn't say that are playing quarterback now. He said over the last few decades.
Sure.
So immediately he just thrusted himself into the conversation of the greatest quarterbacks that we know, which is the 90s, early 2000s, and now he's very selective. I mean, meticulous when it comes to picking words and how he says things. And then, Sean, you know, what stood out to the clip that you chose, working on myself, you know, in other words, finding happiness. And like what was going on with Simone Biles withdrawing, Naomi Osaka, even dating back to the 90s, Jordan taking a break from sports in general and then playing baseball. We've seen this in sports, and I think now athletes are a little bit more confident in coming out and saying, you know what, I'm dealing with a lot. I need to step away from the game. I don't care if you like it, because you may be concerned about football and my wealth, but my mental health is my wealth. So there's a deeper conversation to be had when it comes to that. For me, you know, you can pick 1,000 things when it comes to Aaron Rodgers and what he was talking about, the things that he was addressing, naming all of those players, looking down at a sheet and not wanting to miss a guy when he wanted to reference his former teammates. I mean, really some powerful stuff. But I didn't want to pick a clip from Aaron Rodgers. What stood out to me was something that his head coach, Matt LaFleur, said. Check it out.
You're always prepared for the possibilities, and you're always planning and thinking about, you know, either scenario, because we were, quite frankly, very unsure. So you have to have plans for whatever would happen, and I'm just really happy that he's back in the building. He's a part of this football team, because, you know, with him, we feel like the sky's the limit. I can say he is the most competitive person I've ever been around. So there's no doubt about it that he's going to go out there and play to the highest of his ability.
You know, what stands out to me in that statement is him saying we're preparing for any and every possibility. We didn't know what was going to happen. But I don't think he was just talking about this summer. I also feel like he's talking about this season and what's going to happen afterwards. He's almost projecting, in a sense, because we don't know. We don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be around for the next few years. Maybe this is his last dance. You know, it reminds me of me being a father and going on a road trip when my kids were very young, and I had a couple of babies, some still in diapers. And we're sitting there, and we're just trying to prepare for every possibility. We're getting in the car. All right, you got the juice boxes check, okay? You got the snacks check, okay? You got the food. What about the video games and the toys? Do you have the iPads?
The wet wipes, the diapers.
You have the wet wipes and
Chargers.
the diapers, because you know when you have kids that young, it happens, and that almost happened for the Packers. I think they're preparing for something that could happen. And for me, looking at Matt LaFleur, just being very honest and transparent in that moment, saying, we don't know what's going on. Just preparing for every possibility, almost like Doctor Strange in a sense. So let's see what's going to happen this season, and then we'll